everyone, it's Linda Canasi from iCrafter, and I wanted to share with everyone about our cutting decks. We have, I don't know if everyone knows this, we have 5 different cutting decks, and I know our iMen's Magnetic Pro and Pro Decks are really the hot thing right now, but I wanted to explain to everybody the differences in our 5 decks. So, let me go ahead and start with our translucent cutting decks. Now, I didn't have one in the pink package, but I just wanted to explain. These two are the same, it's just a color difference. So obviously there's aqua color and then there's a pink. So it depends on what your preference is. They are probably the most versatile of all our cutting decks. We just call them our translucent cutting decks. They're sold in a set of 2. They are 6 1/8 by 8 7/8 inches approximately. So they will fit in the Sizzix machines, the Big Shot, the standard original Big Shot, and any of their other machines that use their regular cutting pads. These are they are standard cutting decks or cutting pads in the sense of they will eventually warp and scratch and make that cracky sound, but they are the ones that are the workhorses in a sense of die cutting. They are what I call semi-consumable. They won't last forever and ever, but they wear very well. You do have to flip and rotate, and they are hard decks. The only difference again in these two, they both come in sets of 2. The only difference is this is aqua color and this is pink. And it is a really pretty pink if you see that. And it's a real pretty aqua too. So that is the difference between our translucent cutting decks. Again, they are interchangeable with what you might use on a Big Shot machine, standard machine. So these are our translucent cutting decks. Now, the next thing I want to share, and this is really innovative, this is our iMen's Self-Mending Cutting Deck. Now, it is a self-mending deck. It is, let's see, okay, I'm going to show you. This is one that I've been using for a couple years now. I flip and rotate, and just do it regularly. It is slightly warped, as you can see. I don't know if you can see it that way, but it still cuts beautifully. It is a little bit softer than the translucent decks, let me put it that way, but it is self-mending. It is washable. It is, I guess it is also semi-consumable in the sense it won't last forever, but it does last a long time. It's wonderful because it doesn't make that hard crackly sound as it goes through. It is a good price point. It lasts a long time. It is the same thickness as a hard deck. That makes sense. So it can replace basically one of your hard decks. So imagine cutting into this with one hard deck and how long that will last because you're cutting into this surface instead of this. In this case, you could see, I don't know if you could see, but I put a piece of tape down here and I washed this side. This side I didn't wash. There is, you could tell a difference in the little bits of paper still stuck in there, so it is washable. It does also work with the Sizzix machine, and it will last longer. Again, you must flip and rotate because it does tend to bend if you go in one direction for too long. But like I said, I've had this one, I've been using this for 2 years easily, and thousands of cuts. Okay, so that is the iMen's Self-Mending Cutting Deck, our original one. We were the first ones to come out with this on the market in 2020. So this is the iMen's Self-Mending Cutting Deck. So that's 3. So let me go over 1 and 2. So the only difference is color. And then 3 is the iMen's Self-Mending Cutting Deck, which is the 3rd one, which is in a class by itself because it's self-mending, but it is the same thickness as a regular cutting deck. Now we have, let me go with this one first. We have the Self-Mending PRO Deck. Now the Pro Decks, in fact, I'll put them out here. You can see they're two different colors. And that's just so you can identify them. But the main thing is down in this corner, you'll see a magnetic warning sign that if you have a pacemaker, you should be careful. But these are the Pro Decks. And let me go ahead and explain a little bit about these. And here they are out of the packaging. These are much harder than the original iMend cutting deck. They're about the hardness of a regular translucent deck, but they also have the self-mending surface of the iMend deck. So I've actually used these a couple times, and you can't see any scratches on them. They last a long time. They are warp resistant. So that's the main thing I want to say about these. I can show you, here, let me show you this one. This is one that I've been using for a couple years now. You can always tell because I have this little marking on it, but look how straight that is. That is amazing. Again, I need to wash this surface to get it cleaned off, but you can see it just lasts a long time. And that was an early prototype, so the color's a little different too. But these are our two Pro Decks, the magnetic and the regular. The only difference in these two from each other is one has magnets, the other doesn't. Only difference in them. So it's a cost difference, but if you do a lot of thin metal dies and you're very concerned about it, where it sits, this is the magnetic, works beautifully. This is more of a lower cost, but it also is very long lasting because it is self-mending and the surface is scratch resistant. It is just, these are just absolutely wonderful. Another thing I want to stress is that if you want, you can use the original iMend deck with this and you won't have any cracking noises at all. Now, I just want to say something else to understand is if you are cutting thicker cardstock, such as maybe adhesive glitter cardstock, or even just glitter cardstock that is really thick, or a thicker weight plain cardstock, you might want to use just your hard translucent cutting decks, the hard ones, together, because it tends to, this is a little bit, has more give to it. So when you want to get that thicker cardstock cut, you might want to use two of these together, two of the harder decks, and you won't have any problems. So another thing, very important thing, is that these are thicker than a standard cutting deck. So you never want to use, on a lot of the machines, it'll say, use 2 cutting pads and send it through your machine. You can actually, on a Big Shot machine, use it like this, but you don't use, you only use one, the thinner adapter. I always get it mixed up. I think it's adapter A. Yes, you would just use adapter A. You wouldn't use adapter B with it. So it's just remember, it's a little thicker. Never, ever shove anything through your die cutting machines, ever. If it's having trouble going through, the sandwich is too thick. So you don't want to damage your machine. We do offer a instructional, I can show this to you real quick, instructional sandwich sheet. But be sure and read what machine it's for, because again, the Big Shot machine, there's several types of Big Shot machines. If it's not on this list, specifically not on this list, then you need to test it before you shove it through your machine. We have had it tested on the Empress, the We Are Memory Keepers Evolution, the Gemini Junior, and the Spellbinders Platinum 6. We also have tested it on the Switch, the new Switch machine. We've used it on the Vagabond and the Vagabond 2. So it does, the thing to remember is if you're cutting thicker cardstock, it's best to just go back to your regular cutting pads. If you're cutting regular weight cardstock in these different machines, you can use the Pro Decks and it should work fine. Again, if there's too much pressure, back it out and don't do it. Start with the smallest sandwich first, the least amount of pressure, no shims maybe, and send it through. If it doesn't cut, add a shim. If it still doesn't cut, add another shim. Intricate dies are different than basic dies. Thicker cardstock is different than standard weight cardstock. So you want to take all of this into consideration when you're using any of the machines and any of the cutting pads. On the bigger machines like the Gemini, the standard size Gemini, instead of sending it through the machine like this, you would just send it through like this. Make sure the bigger, because the bottom cutting pad, unless you have smaller ones, the bottom pad will be the larger one, the hard deck, and you would just put this on top and just go in through the machine sideways with the 9-inch opening. So these are all the things we recommend. We also want you to know that we have had so much fun with these decks. They are working beautifully. So just wanted to let everyone know. Just wanted to explain to everyone how these all work and the differences. Again, not everyone knows that we have 5 different cutting decks. So 2 are the Pro decks, 2 are the translucent cutting decks, just color difference, and then our original Self-Mending Cutting Deck. So there's a lot to choose from. Again, the differences are primarily price point and durability. Long term, you save more money if you do something like the Pro decks, in that it lasts a lot longer. All of these will take, I should put this a little bit, this is in between the two. These, you use it and after a while it does wear out. It is semi-consumable. This one is also, it lasts longer than these, but it also is semi-consumable. It's beautiful in that it works the same thickness as these, so you could use it easily through a lot of different machines. And then you have the Pro decks, which will last a lot longer. So that's it of the series of cutting decks from iCrafter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.